Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Big Ideas Podcast. This is a podcast about three co hosts exploring all kinds of real conversations, meaningful ideas, and descriptions that shape our lives. I'm Justin Gabassi, and this week I will be leading the conversation with my co hosts, Mark Steiner and Jessica Broadway. Mark is the CEO and founder of Gig Salad, an entrepreneur, creative, and leader who has spent decades building companies, culture, and people. Welcome, Mark.
Hello. It's good to be here.
It's good to see you, man. You look sharp today, by the way, brother.
Thank you.
Jessica Broadway is a coach, speaker, and author who works with people navigating seasons of change, including yours truly and Mark. She also looks fantastic. This week, Jessica is bringing us the topic and sharing her personal perspective. Before we get rocking on this thing today, where's everybody at? Let's check in really quick on locations.
Yeah, I'll go. We're going to save the best for last. That's you, Jess. I'm in Springfield, Mo. I just came from breakfast with my business partner, Bircher. Locke and I are on Gig Salad together and some real estate properties together. And it's been a great week.
Nice.
This is a great way to wrap the week. I'm really glad to be with you guys today.
Yeah, you're always traveling around the country too, so it sounds like you're close to home for a change today. Although busy boy as usual.
That changes next week. In the future,
Okay.
I'll be hitting you up from different parts of the country. So
nice.
Yeah, this is your busy season, isn't it?
Coming up.
Can't
wait.
Jessica, where are you at today?
In my home studio in Nixa, Missouri, fresh out of the car line and ready to talk to you guys.
You look like you're going to a ball.
Yeah.
You have lipstick on, your hair's done. You're looking fine, girl.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
I am still wearing pajama pants, if that helps. So.
Yeah.
Is that right? That's the great thing about.
You went to the car line in pajama pants?
Sure did.
Were you wearing that nice top?
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was. So I have been known to go to Carline with my hair in a towel.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah,
but I got multiple things I'm juggling, and if I can give you a laugh in the morning and you can say, wow, she's gutsy wearing a towel in the car line, I think that's made public service for the day, honestly.
Sure is. Be yourself. But you're pro on the top this morning and party on the bottom, or sleep.
Absolutely. And I plan to stay like this most of the day. So
that's awesome. Good for you.
Nice.
It's about the right? And
that's right.
Integration of life.
That's right.
For sure. Well, I'm checking in with you guys here from Koh Phangan, Thailand. I've been on this island for a pinch, and I'm going to stay a little longer, I think. I'm digging the spots.
That's awesome.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I hear really good things about Thailand. I'm so glad to hear them supported by your experience. It's amazing.
Yeah. Really, really kind people, great food. I'm having a really pleasant experience. So, well, I'm also super pumped selfishly for this topic today. Our topic today is silent scripts and expectations. So, Jessica, you are an author and coach. You write about topics that are relatable. And one topic in particular you wrote about in your book was this idea of silent scripts and expectations. Specifically, what happens when the script in your head and the expectations of your heart don't match the reality of the moment. Boy, can I relate. This is such a huge topic, such an important topic. For the listeners, can you explain what are silent scripts and expectations?
Okay, I'm going to give you a really short one, and hopefully we can expand on it later. But in short, the silent scripts are these unspoken stories that we've rehearsed in our mind and written some rules about for ourselves as to how we should live our lives. And then the expectation piece is envision this like these invisible contracts that we sign people up for without ever explaining it to them. So I will say that there's a differentiation that I hope we get to today, is that there are healthy expectations and unhealthy expectations. And so there's a duality to that label, if you will, and how you see yourself in the silent scripts and the level of healing is going to impact the way that you view expectations, for sure.
The level of healing. So I guess we'll get into some of that perhaps.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, you wrote a little bit about this using a real life story from your book, A Journey to Raising Brave Hearts. Can you share that story with us? Are you comfortable sharing a little bit about that?
Yes, I did get approval from the boss man to talk about it today.
Who's the boss man?
My husband. Funny story.
Oh,
Big Josh.
When I wrote my book, I was like, "Do you want to read any of this before I like put it out there into the world?" And he was like, "Nope." And I was like, "Why?" And he said, well, I lived it, so I don't need to read about it, and I trust you, so go for it."
That's perfect. Wow.
So when I was getting ready for this podcast, I was like, it's been a while since I wrote the book, and like I just want to make sure, like, do a check-in. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna do that story about expectations. Are you cool with that? And he goes, yeah. And I said, do you remember which one I'm talking about? And he goes, he said, well, which time?
oh no.
And he goes, I can think about a lot of times where we had that conversation.
Yeah.
So for me, it took a long time to differentiate between, I'm a dreamer. And so like visioning things and like dreaming big has always been part of my nature. And learning to differentiate between what's healthy dreaming and vision casting, and then the difference between expectations and the balance of all of that, I'll tell you, has been quite a journey for me. I've often found myself dreaming of things or having expectations in people, and then finding myself consistently disappointed with the outcomes. And so this particular story, I think I was 27 when this happened. It was my 27th birthday. We were going to Hula Hands, if you guys remember that restaurant here in town.
Yep.
And they have the best chicken, breadcrumb chicken, and then like this amazing cheesecake. And I was ready for the night. That's where I wanted to go for my birthday. And we get in there, and I didn't have, the thing about expectations is oftentimes you don't realize you had expectations, that you'd sign people up for these outcomes until they don't meet them. And then you're left like going, ooh, I didn't even know I didn't know that I wanted that. And now I really want that, right? And so I get in the restaurant, and I happen to look in the back corner of the room, and there was this private room full of pink balloons, every shade of pink balloon you could possibly imagine. Ooh. And my heart just fluttered. And I looked at my husband, and I just fell in love with him all over again. I was like, this man, he gets me. Like, this is it. I'm sure that it is full of people hiding in the back of the room, and everybody's going to jump out and surprise me for my birthday. And it's just going to be like the best ever, And then I was like, I could see there wasn't people in there. And so then I was like, well, maybe people are just like showing up, and then we're all going to go back together, And then people started coming in, and he looks over at me. He's like, surprise, we're all having dinner together. And something just started to feel awkward about the moment, And so I'm still hopeful that this is all a kind of a decoy. The restaurant's busy. We're just all going to gather here, and just going to take us all back together. So the hostess says, party of 15, let's go. And so we start following her back, and we do go back to the room. Like, we're going back towards the room. And then she just turns, and I can feel like this screeching of my soul coming to a halt, because she turns, and there's this pushed together like 3 tables in the corner right outside the birthday room. And in that moment, all I can say is that my face did not match my feelings at all. And I my heart sunk, and I felt super disappointed. And I felt this conflicting feeling of wanting to be grateful for the moment that was, while also really wishing the moment had been different.
Mm.
And it takes a certain level of maturity, I think, in those moments, practice, reps, clarity, to not throw a fit and pout, right? I know I've been there. I think other people have been there. This is not a moment that is unique to me. Maybe the circumstances are, but you guys know what I mean? Have you been there before?
Yeah, Mark. Well,
Yeah.
Jessica, I've got a couple of things, but I've been sitting here in my head too, thinking about some situations with Mark I've been in. Mark, has this happened to you as well?
You- Are you talking about something that happened between you and I? Maybe no.
No, not specifically, just events that we've been in, or
Surprise!
We've been in. Yeah. Yes, I know that you know about many of these, Justin. From me, yeah, I can relate to my own stories right now and talk about that, but I have questions for Jessica about this. Like,
yeah,
Oh,
did you?
hit me with them. What do you got?
Yeah, like it really comes down to this idea that how much did you communicate to Josh that you wanted a surprise birthday party, that like, or
None.
that
Zero.
right,
I
right,
thought that
and
matrimonial osmosis was a real thing. And when you got married,
yeah,
somehow they just inherit all of your hopes and dreams and totally know how to do everything. I mean, that was the moment, right? As I realized, like, I actually didn't tell him that I wanted this to happen.
yeah,
Yet I find myself putting him on the nearest cross, offering him as tribute, and,
right,
because
right.
I was disappointed,
And then and it was just your 27th. Like it's not even
I
like
mean,
this was the expectation every birthday. Like this is the way it's going to be. But the thing about this is the reason I could tell my own stories is I'm you,
yeah.
and I create these things in my mind all the time. I know that my intimate relationships, they've experienced this. My business partners, like I had ideas and concepts that have become full-blown dreams, things that I had been thinking about day in, day out, 24/7. And then and then I would expect them to buy into this thing with just a few words of like, hey guys, I think we should do this. And I would give them this really brief synopsis, expecting them to have known all the stuff that I had been creating in my head and all the moving parts and all the bits and pieces. And when I didn't get the response that I felt this incredible dream was due, I was so disappointed. And I
Hmm.
wanted to and blame them. Like they haven't been living
yeah,
in my space there at all,
Hmm.
and then I put that on them, or my
yeah,
ex, my ex-wife, and no wonder we're exes, if
yeah.
I did this to them, like to her, my
It
goodness.
it feels like it feels kind of like, well, I've done the same thing, and it feels in hindsight like self sabotage. And so,
Yeah,
um, before we get in some more meat potatoes, I wanted to find out, Jessica, from you. Okay, did you go into the birthday already thinking it was going to be a surprise, or did the idea of the circumstances evolve as you got closer? Like, had you thought, "Oh, I want a surprise," or you got there and you saw the room and you're like, "Oh, yeah, great idea. This is a
good
surprise."
question.
Like, what did you already have pre-planned in your head versus what was happening in real time with the pre-planning?
Well, I suppose it goes back to a little bit of childhood setup as well. Is that my mom is always really good at birthdays, and um, my birthday always felt about me until I had kids. And then I realized like the sacrifice that a mom makes on the birthday too. And so my mom had always been super great about honoring our birthdays and celebrating our lives, and it was a whole thing. And then I got married and my mom stopped being the curator of all my birthdays, and then you just expect that that's like a standard that carries through. And
Mm,
so there had been a little bit of growing pains as far as communicating what that I had expectations, and then how does one step in the gap when the mom's usually the one doing everything for everybody, and then when it's mom's birthday nobody's doing anything. And so
Mm,
there's this level of like, how do I ask for what I want without sound like a spoiled brat,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I'm just being honest. And then
Mhm.
how do I also inspire other people? And I think that because I throw them all these great birthday parties, that they are then picking up the clues that I'm sitting
Yeah.
down, and that
Yeah.
they're going to somehow like adopt this mindset and then do for me, right?
Right.
And when it doesn't happen, you do want to blame the other person, but really the maturity and the healing says, I never really communicated to you what I expected there to
Right.
be. And
Right.
so after a few trial and errors, I had started to communicate that I really like to celebrate my birthday. I love to be around
Mhm.
people. I like to have people around. I love to be engaged in relationships. I do enjoy that. And so Josh had really started to do that at this point. But did I think I was getting a big surprise party? For sure not, you know. But my
Hmm.
family has a track record of doing big audacious things for birthdays and random things, and surprising you, and like that's just the way I grew up. So
mm,
learning how to share those that I expect them to continue, or that I want him to be a co-participant in, that wasn't really fair to him. And I did realize that. And I don't know if you can call that maturity, training, wisdom, what you can call that, but that's the first part of awareness, is realizing that you have committed someone to a particular outcome without cluing them in on the plan.
mm.
So
Yeah.
to specifically answer your question, it was part held possibility, part ran away as soon as I saw the balloons, you know.
Mm.
I did have the expectation that people would be there, right? But to the degree of how it would be there, that really carried me away when I saw the room. That's kind of like what took me to another level.
Mark, do you plan? Are you like Jessica, where some of it's on the fly and some of it's pre-planned, or like in the case that you mentioned with your business partnerships or your relationships romantically, are you pre-planning the storybook like well in advance, or is it more in real time as well, or both?
Too much show in the past. That was definitely the case in the past, and it to me, what I hear Jessica saying and what I've experienced is that I simply need to communicate.
Mhm.
I just need to be vulnerable, because like you said, it's to have to spell out, this is something that's important to me, or this is meaningful. And it does sound like it's kind of selfish to even do that, and it also sounds, it kind of defeats the purpose to want to say, hey, my birthday is important to me, and this is what I want it to be. Whereas that that whole concept has come from, in your case, it was your mother. Your
Mhm.
mother taught you how to celebrate a birthday. And
Mhm.
Mm.
so to put that expectation on others and say, hey, what I actually need you to be, and I need you to be my mother, and just
It's
take
not
this
fair,
over.
right?
You go,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
like I want,
yeah.
and isn't that what it comes down to? Don't we want everybody to be our mother? Just, I want to be mothered by everybody. I want to be everybody's little
Oh,
baby. And so
I
just
don't.
take
Okay.
care of
Well,
me. Yeah. So I communicate,
You
Justin.
have
That's what
mommy
I,
issues.
yeah, yeah. Mommy issues, daddy issues. Justin, how about
yeah.
you?
All of them, dude. Yeah. Well, okay. Okay. So I'm gonna go off on a tangent real quick, and Jessica, I need you to counsel me here in front of the audience a little bit, because here's the deal when it comes to expectations is, and this goes back to mostly like, well, I guess everything, family, friends, specifically romantic relationships. And I've had some deep conversations with friends where, um, wondering how this Cinderella sort of storybook thing gets embedded in us. And so it's like it's multiple layer, right? Because number one, there's the whole thing about we're not supposed to be selfish. And in this case, it can be selfless to be selfish and explain things and not self-sabotage and not put people in these positions that they have no idea that they're in, right? But I have kind of a problem with the concept of expectations. I need you to fix me on it and show me how they can be positive. Because for me, the term is almost like a 4-letter word. It's almost like profanity, you
Mm.
know? Expectations, because you're setting, I feel like, everyone up to lose. And especially when the storybook is there and nobody has any idea what the storybook was about. And all of a sudden somebody's upset and you have no idea because there's been no talk. So can you frame it for me? Like, are these good or bad? And how do we navigate this situation?
So they expectations themselves are not good or bad. Okay? They
Okay.
just exist. How you implement them is either in a healthy way or an unhealthy way. So, in their best case, expectations should provide clarity and should frame a situation, and there's a dual responsibility of both people to say, hey, I just want to let you know what my expectations are. Hey, I just want to let you know what my expectations are
Mm.
before you go into the event. So there's some forethought of how can I be successful and how can I communicate effectively with my partner. That is the most loving thing that you can do. Okay. And then it gives them an opportunity to say, I can't do that, right? I can't do that,
Mm.
or I'd love to do that. I'd need more time to do that next time. Can we make a plan for it for later? It opens
Right.
up the dialogue so you can respond to how your life unfolds instead of react. And the sneaky thing about expectations is they are part conscious and part subconscious, right? Or unconsciously. And so sometimes you don't realize that you had a loss of expectation until the moment becomes disappointing. You're like, wow, I did not realize I had inflated this to the point that now my face doesn't match my feelings, right? And I'm masking or I'm trying to navigate my way through this. So there's two things I feel are essential for really understanding expectations. One are you're never going to avoid the disappointment that comes, like at some point in your life you're going to have a loss of expectation. So there's one part being equipped for when I experience a loss of expectation, how do I want to adjust and course correct, right? And then the other part is how can I help other people in my life understand and participate in life with me instead of silent scripting myself and silent scripting them and never communicating that. So at its core, expectations can exist when they provide clarity. They are unhealthy when they create silence and isolation, right? When they start judging an outcome. So it is very unfair to the partner to not ever tell them anything and then judge the outcome that happened, right? Whatever happened, then you're judging. And so if it's providing clarity, it would sound like, here's what would help me be successful today. Here's what I'm hoping might happen. Here's what I need, right? It shouldn't be, the unhealthy version would be like, they should have just known. They shouldn't I shouldn't have had to ask. If they
Mm,
cared, they would, right? It's
mm.
creating performance driven behavior in the other person without ever communicating the hopes, dreams, and expectations. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you nailed it at the end. Like, I think what drives me the most crazy, especially in romantic relationships, is it seems to be that there's this level of I don't know, this level of romance that's attached to the unknown mystique. And so
Mm-hmm.
often, it doesn't matter if I'm talking to my guy friends, my girlfriends, whatever. Well, they should just know what I want. Like, they know me so well. We've been together for this long, and you kind of touched on that. So I don't mean to like
No,
drill it down too hard. But yeah.
I feel sad in those moments, and I feel a tremendous amount of compassion that makes me want to reach through the phone or in the moment and just hug someone and give them a hug. What they're really saying is, I'm really scared to be fully known because I might be rejected.
Right.
Mm,
Yep.
And if
mm.
I shared my hopes and dreams with this person, would they fulfill them? Would they jump in and say, let's create what you wish existed? Let's co-create this together. I believe, and I maintain the belief, that the greatest act of love and vulnerability is to be fully known by someone, meaning that you risk the possibility that um, something can't happen, but you're willing and brave enough to say, here I am. I had this wild fantasy that you were going to have this room full of balloons for me. And I feel a little sad, but I recognize that I didn't ever communicate that to you. And in the future, I'd like to do a better job of sharing those little things that light my day up, right? And I feel like that the greatest act of love, I don't know many people that when they heard say that you liked, I don't know, what's something that you like, Justin?
I like going to concerts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I knew that you liked going to concerts, right? And you had expressed that to me and you'd said, I really love a live event. I feel like there aren't very many people in the world that wouldn't be aware of recognizing things that you might like that would bring joy to your life and want to deliver it to you on a silver platter, right? But how can they do that if they don't know that about you, right? It's just so unfortunate. It's a casualty of life, and the world will try to pull you apart from the people that you care about the most. And the greatest work you'll ever do is fight to get back to them with that openness and that transparency and risking everything to be vulnerable enough to tell the truth about how you feel.
Oh man, I'm gonna lead it with a question. I'm gonna ask both of you, but I'm gonna let Mark go first. And the question is
Yeah.
like, as it pertains again, Mark, to your romantic relationships and business. Do you think you've gotten better at communicating with vulnerability and expressing clearly what you want? And in doing so, does that take away anything from the moment? Like when things go from being like this perceived fairy tale Cinderella storybook in your head and you're all like butterflies and stuff, right? And then you make it black and white, like, hey, this is what I want. This is exactly what I want. Um, are you able to communicate it, Mark? And then does it lose? And then Jessica, jump in wherever. Because like this is the biggest thing is there's a fear of loss, I think, of, oh, if I tell them, it takes away some of the panache or whatever that is that Mark.
Yes. Yes. The answer is yes. Have I? Is it? Has it? Have I gotten better at it, or has it gotten easier? And the answer is yes in my case. As here I was in midlife. I I had been married for almost 27 years. I got married when I was 25, and we dated for 2 years prior to that. So from 23 until I was nearly uh, gosh, what was it? 50, 51. Um, I was with one person. I didn't know for dating no more. I didn't know how to, this was all so new to me. And, but what I did know is I wanted to do better. I was owning my part of why why our marriage didn't work, and I knew that what I wanted to do to make relationships work in the future. And I knew that for my part, if, me bringing 100% of my most authentic self to the equation, I needed to start by being with honesty and truth and integrity and genuineness and realizing that this is a new person in my life that knows nothing about me. So where do we begin? And it would be selfish for me to just expect Carrie in this case to just discover me. I need you to know me. If we're on our path to becoming, if we're soulmates after all here, then we're connected,
Yeah.
and it's stupid. It's
Okay.
dumb.
Okay. Okay. But Jessica, when you get transparent here and you lay it down like that, I think are people, I mean, maybe I'm the only one, but are people afraid they're going to lose that spark when you just put it all in black and white on paper? Like, how do you set your expectation, explain your expectation, keep the spark as well?
Well, there's so much, like, there's so much I want to say about this, but I I think that there's the Hollywood romanticism of it all, right? The Hollywood's job, marketing's job, is to sell you what you want most and to exploit the fact that you don't have it, right?
Hmm.
Otherwise, they wouldn't sell tickets. They wouldn't
Right.
sell this fantasy things, right? So there is that element of what's curated for us to create desire and longing And if we're not careful, we can get sucked into that. And then all of a sudden be like, well, you're a loser because you're not like this dude on the screen, right?
Bradley
Mm.
Cooper.
He was scripted. He
Right.
didn't intuit anything. He was scripted. So a healthy dose of reality is that this man is scripted and he is playing a part
Right.
in a
Right.
production. I want
Right.
authentic, genuine, unscripted living. And so, in order to do that, I have to be willing to co create a life with someone. It cannot be you over here, and then you do for me, and then I'll do for you, and then you owe me, and then I owe you. It can't be like that. The most
Mm.
vulnerable part of building a life together is it's a together, not an individual journeys happening to cohabitate. Okay. And that
Mm-hmm.
means that I can't stay in my head. He can't stay in his head. We have to be willing to risk vulnerability, to share our hopes and dreams, to share our ideas. Okay. And I think it's really important that we talk about the dreaming versus vision versus expectation.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
dreaming is possibilities without pressure. That's awesome to do. Vision is casting possibilities with intention. So saying like I want this outcome for our family and to share that together. I want to dream as big as I can dream. Most people are afraid of dreaming because they have a history of loss of expectations that are unresolved and have stacked up over their lives. And they're like, I can't afford to dream. All I get is disappointment, right? So there's a lot of people that are scared to dream because they've commingled dreaming and vision casting with expectations and disappointment. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Expectations specifically measure the reality of the moment against the mental script. So there's comparison that happens. This is how it should have been. This is what it should look like. This is what should be happening by now in my life. Do you see that? But
Mm-hmm.
if the expectations are healthy, then they offer clarity and they say, hey, I have this expectation that together we will dream about our life that we're going to create together, and that we will cast a vision for our life, and that we will co-labor together to make those things happen. Does that make
Yep.
sense?
So in doing that, you can maintain the spark. Like you basically get rid of the fairy tale and like the false scripting, the thing that we've just been
Why would you need a
groomed.
fairy tale when your reality is made up of people selflessly and vulnerably sharing their hopes and dreams with each other and working all day, every day to bring those dreams to fruition because you're both participating in it? How much more spark do you need watching an outcome come to reality, or something that was once a dream come to reality because you both did the work for it?
Yeah.
That's very
Mark,
attractive.
Yeah.
are you finding, Mark, like your new approach? Is this how you're rolling too with like Carrie, like
Yeah.
open dialogue like this? And do you guys still have the spark?
Oh, there's spark, baby. Yeah, there's spark. There's spark. And the reason is that what but I got to just recognize first how eloquently and the imagery that Jessica just painted that I got, which is, do I want to be the script writer? Do I want to be the screen? Is this my screenplay? Is this life that you guys happen to be in? Are you just characters in it, or are we co-creators? Are we collaborators in this? And yeah, I had no interest in being that real, that having putting that expectation on Carrie, that you're here to serve me, you're here to meet my needs, you're here to like um but instead, let's together talk about what it is we're envisioning. Like what is our perfect world, what is,
Yeah.
and leaving the leaving the the possibility that those worlds may collide, that they may not
Mm-hmm.
be great, but that's
Hmm.
okay too. And if you can do that as adults, if you can say, listen, own who you are, and then meet somebody else who's also owning who they are, but are willing, are have enough interest in me and I in them to say, okay, but can we do this together? Can we merge and come together? And finding the sparks in those moments where this person, I have told this person, hey, this is what I'm interested in. Like for you, Justin, you tell your friends, I like going to concerts. And a friend says to you, surprises you one day and says, hey, Justin, I have a ticket for you. Come to this concert with me.
That's you,
Is
bro. You did that.
that was
Austin
not
City
that
Limits.
was not me fishing. That was not as I was telling the story.
Since we're
No,
fishing
no,
for
but
compliments,
Wait,
I mean,
no, but
somebody
it was.
knew you loved a concert and got you a set list poster board from the
That's
concert.
almost.
right. Uh-oh.
So
Oh, lots of
Oh,
friends.
boom.
That's
Uh-oh. Hey,
very,
Jessica had
very,
an expectation that I would have acknowledged that on the podcast too, that she
yeah.
didn't
This
express. No.
this
Oh,
is
this is
but
great.
you just
this.
as a perfect example of how self-expression led to with healthy people. That's the key part in this. Healthy people that have done the work to be emotionally available
Yeah.
to engage vulnerably with other people. That's the
Yep.
key to that shifts expectations. You expressed that you loved
Okay.
a concert. You gave him a ticket to a concert. I knew he loved a concert. I was at the concert and I'm like, I'm going to make set lists for you guys.
Yes.
And, you know, so like that's what healthy people do is they see other people in living their life and they say, how can I cheer for them? How can I make their life better? How can I bring joy to them? It's
Yeah.
you do you for me and I do me for you and everybody gets along.
That's it.
Okay, I have another big question, but I'm gonna jump in as the pessimist for a minute. Okay, and I think this next question is going to speak to it. I think you'll be able to parlay into it. I have solved this expectation problem, by the way. I'm telling the two of you and the listeners. Okay, I solved it. Guess what? I just don't have expectations. Do you believe this? And I've said this to you before, Jessica, too. Like the way you solve it is you just don't have expectations. So the question is, okay, keep that in mind. If someone is currently afraid to ask for what they want in a relationship, maybe that's why I don't have expectations. So I think. What advice, what tools do you have for them? Where do people get started? Okay, unless there's somebody like me that doesn't have expectations. I'm just kidding.
I think
All right, give it to me.
I really maintain okay, it's an and. I'll say that. I won't make you pick a lane. I'm going to say there's an and here. Part of the dialectual or dilemma, the two things can be true at one time.
Mhm.
You can recognize that expectations can be a joy stealer, and then you can use expectations to um, have clarity and guidance and communication. Right? I don't believe that you can absolutely 100% eradicate expectations from your life. I think
Right.
in doing so, you shut off part of you that risks being vulnerable with other people. And I think
Mm.
it's more about the shift of learning how to deal with them instead of putting all the work into avoiding having them.
I
Because
totally. I'm
how can you
scared.
ever be yeah, I disagree strongly with that. I would tell someone that's afraid of that is to ask yourself why you're so afraid of risking vulnerability in sharing your hopes and dreams and expectations with somebody. I would ask them, go ahead. You looks like you have something to say about that.
Well,
No, I mean, thankfully, because I'm just speaking as the person I used to be, and a lot of people out there that I know that are like, oh, I solved the problem. I don't have expectations. And I think at the core of it, after working with you, it's because I've been afraid to ask for what I want or express what I want because I don't want to be selfish. I don't want to come across selfish. And also, I don't have the tools or maybe the knowledge on how to do it. And you know me, Mr. Optimization, how do we workshop this thing? How do I start getting better at the ask and stuff?
I have a question.
Well, yeah.
Can I just ask? Do you think it has the difference between the how broad the expectation is, whether the expectation is narrow or general or specific? Like for me,
For sure.
right? I mean, well, because if I have an expectation that I'm going to be in a relationship with someone, and I have certain, the expectation is that we're happy, that there's joy, that there's openness, and there's kindness, and that how one goes about those things and how to do those things, um, is really what the differentiator, possibly, right? I mean,
And that's where I was saying that I think we have some commingling of terms, right? And we've
yeah,
taken expectations and made them mean something that they're not. I would say those are more like hopes and dreams. I have hope that my relationship would be joyful, right? The expectation is the expression or the action of saying, I want to share with you what I expect would lead to joy in our relationship, right? But if the unhealthy expectation is that Carrie is going to do something and that what she does is going to make you joyful or happy, I think there's where you're
that's trouble,
curating, you're judging behavior,
right?
um, to predict, using behavior to predict an outcome and trying to control an outcome
Right.
versus doing the work to differentiate what's my dream, what's my hope, what's the vision I have for this. Those are all really healthy. And then to use expectations to say, I have this expectation that we would wake up in the morning, and I mean, I have kids, so how many expectations do you think I have in the morning about how something's going to be, only to realize that it's not like that. So it's not avoiding having expectations, is what am I going to do, who am I going to be, which takes a huge sense. That's a whole nother conversation on who are you when the world disappoints you or does what you don't want them to do. That
Right.
has to be true. But um, here's something that I think will help people: dream freely, cast your vision intentionally, be specific about what it is that you'd like to see come in your life, but hold expectations for outcomes very lightly. Be open to the possibility that it could turn out better or different or more of what you expected
Yes.
it to be. You know,
Right.
expectations can also be exceeded. As you mentioned, Mark, you came to one of our live events and you're like, this is better than I expected, because we are
Right.
human beings that
Right.
say, I need to predict what's happening in the brain, is I need to predict the outcome of something so that I can start to like just create safety, psychological safety for myself. Like that's a
Right.
normal part of brain function. Where it gets unhealthy is when you start judging the people and the behaviors and all this stuff, the judgment starts creeping in. That's going to be a joy stealer for you. Did that help your linear brain, Justin? Was I specific enough?
Yeah, big time, big time. I think before we start, land the plane even more, can you idiot proof it even more? So like, how blunt and specific do you have to be? Like, what are the tools? So I'm in a new. Let's say I'm not in a relationship. I'm single, by the way, ladies. But
And he's
currently,
working on his
as of the recording of this
expectations.
podcast,
So
yeah. As of
he's
the recording of
healthy
this
and
podcast,
single.
um, yeah. So workshop the tools for me. Like, I'm in a new thing. I think I didn't have expectations, but obviously I do. If people are afraid to ask, how do you start to do it?
Total honesty. Got to start with total honesty.
Mhm.
Honesty is not about the details of the event. That can really incite blame. So if you're like, well, I'm diving into the details of this and the other person's going to become defensive. Well, I didn't know this or this. The total honesty is the emotional honesty. Hey, I recognize that I came into this with some silent expectations. That's on me. These are my
That's right.
expectations.
Yep.
They're not a reflection of your actions. Like it's not about you, it's about me. And most people are really afraid of total responsibility and taking responsibility for their expectations, and so they want to blame other people. So blame and
Mm-hmm.
shame should never be part of the conversation. So you got to start with total honesty. Take responsibility for the silent expectations and contracts you signed with people in your life. Start there.
Oof,
Hmm.
it's a big one. That's a big ask. Go ahead.
That will take you a level of healing that needs to be done. You will have to
Yeah.
start your healing journey to heal and I've said it 100 times by now, but you will not be able to receive tomorrow's blessings if your arms are full of yesterday's broken promises.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, man.
You've got to clear out and do the work to heal those parts of you that believe that expectations lead to disappointment, that dreams never come true, that hope is something that is a luxury that you can't afford in your relationships. That is crap. You have got to take responsibility for the curated experiences that you invited other people to, that you didn't ever bother to clarify for them or tell them that they were playing part of your game, right? So total honesty, and then making a commitment to tell the truth. So yes, total honesty about where you are, but telling the truth every single day. A lot of us, myself included, I was entrapped in this people pleasing behavior where I was choosing to be agreeable. And that is a whole nother conversation of how I got there. But, I would rather be agreeable and like what you like than to stand up for myself, only to find out that I've built up some silent resentment because I don't really feel known by you anymore. I just feel that you know the version of me that serves you best.
Mm.
So starting
That's
to
a
tell the truth instead of jumping into agreement with someone. Oh yeah, I like that too. Stop and ask yourself, do you really even like that? What do you like about that? What don't you like about that? And be willing to say, yeah, I recognize that. Yeah, I think I could like parts of that, but here's something I don't like. And just be willing to tell the truth about the little things so that when the big things come up, you're more likely, your brain feels safe, your nervous system feels safe to engage in disagreement without being disagreeable. That's really the crux of it. Those are the two things I'd say to start with, because there's a lot, but if you can't master those two, none of the rest of them matter.
Something I've noticed in speaking with people from different countries is at first it came across a bit abrasive, and maybe it's cultural as well. But when you do that in the US, like a lot of times somebody will say, oh, I can't stand chocolate ice cream. And you're like, well, I like chocolate ice cream. And so a lot of these other cultures, they're like, what? Chocolate ice cream's great. Well, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's like they're, and at first I was like, whoa, are we going to have an argument here? What's happening? This is like really, but they're like, everybody's like super cool about it. Like they can have different opinions and different feelings. And it seems like it's much more acceptable. And I don't know if that's like, again, a cultural thing, or maybe it's the way they've been raised and stuff like that. But this is a skill set you're talking about, to be able to stand your truth and speak your truth. Right. Because you want to get along with other people. And, if they think chocolate ice cream sucks, you want to be like, oh, well, I don't know. I want to get along with them. But so that's a big, so you're saying the baby steps help, like the little practice steps really help get the confidence?
Because I would say in that situation, really, that's fascinating. What about chocolate ice cream don't you like? And I would use it as an opportunity to lean into the relationship, to get to know them.
Right.
Maybe they got sick one time when they were a kid and they ate chocolate ice cream, and now every time they eat chocolate ice cream, it makes them remember the time they were sick. It's not a personal attack on your likes just because someone doesn't like the same thing. And that's, we've blurred the lines between thinking that someone that disagrees with what we said is disagreeing with us as a human being.
Boom,
right?
Man. Yeah.
Yes.
That's so many, it's so many things that includes too, whether it's your religious beliefs or your political beliefs or whatever. Like, I mean, and Mark, you work with such a broad range of artists and people from different backgrounds. And, what do you think about that as far as people being able to have differences in, like, at a collective human level? Like, where are you at within your own team, being that you're running this big company, and like, are you guys able to speak your truth like this and be at odds a little in meetings, and how do you guys navigate that stuff?
Yeah. Well, starting with my relationship, that I couldn't help. Carrie's very honest. Carrie's very direct. And you will know her truth. And she did not shy away from it in a shocking way, frankly. And, but it emboldened me to be more definitive about what my honesty and my truth and what I liked or didn't like and those sorts of things. And we would constantly have the conversation about, do in fact opposites attract? Where, can people with different opinions get along? And the answer is yes, as long as you approach it with curiosity. And as Jessica said, oh, tell me why do you have that opinion? And then you could
Mm,
walk away with understanding as opposed to
mm,
friction or conflict, And yes, I've learned it on a larger scale running a business. You have, I forget what the numbers are. Is it metrics? Sort of you get to a certain number, and all of a sudden, it just becomes that much more difficult to, sort of manage. And
Mm-hmm.
we've had as many as 35 people in our company, and man, that's tough. That's a
mm,
lot of opinions. And when
mm,
you welcome people to share their opinions and say, "Hey, listen, bring your ideas," da, 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 you have to be willing to listen and not judge, and and uh, learn how to disagree, but but not for it to be not to take it personally.
mm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
So, so Jessica, that's good stuff, Mark. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. So, Jessica, does this work? And that was, you were 27. I know you're not much older now, right? But
Of course
you've
not.
had a little experience since then, right? Does it work, and what kind of fallout or what kind of speed bumps might people run into? Like, what's the, if you were going to start, wrapping it up in for us?
Yeah, so it does work, but it takes work. So that's what you need to know, right? It works, but it takes work, and it doesn't happen overnight. And it will be uncomfortable for the people in your life that are used to one version of you. And when you start changing your language, you start sharing things differently, that'll be uncomfortable because you're rewriting the rules. So I think it's a great idea to have an open and honest conversation with a few people that confesses that, hey, I've been writing some silent scripts and I signed you guys up for contracts that was unfair to you,
Hmm.
and I'm going to start working on expressing myself a little bit better and sharing what I think about. And I'm going to be wrestling with my expectations, and I'm going to be doing work to heal parts of me that block me from showing up as who I am. And it works. I know it works because when I started telling the truth, relationships did get uncomfortable. Not to say that I was lying before, but I wasn't being like super transparent. And I'm happy to report that I did get my surprise party actually.
Is that right?
Almost 10
Very
years
good.
later, almost 10 years later, our dryer had been broken that summer, and I was really kind of like maxed out, and I'd been channeling my pioneer woman to hang laundry on the line every morning. And it was my birthday, and I'd been doing laundry all day, and there was one load left. And my Josh was like, "We're gonna go over to our friend's house for dinner. They're gonna make dinner for you." And I was like, "All right, well, I got to get this laundry so I can dry it at Allison's house." And we just have that friendship. So I was expecting to go to her house and be able to dry laundry while we ate dinner. And
Mm,
he let me do it. He was like, okay. And he let me load the car up. And then we get to their house. I'm taking the laundry out, the wet laundry. And he goes, just leave it in the car. I'm like, Josh, it is the middle of summer. They're going to get smelly. I do not have it in me to rewash the clothes. Like, stop caring what people think. That's immediately where my head went. And he was like, just chill out. Like, let's go inside. Trust me, it's going to be fine. I'll come back out and get the laundry later. So I go huffing into the house. Like, I was a little steamed.
Hmm.
And I go in there, and it's all my friends are there, and the decorations are on point, the balloons, everything. And
mm.
the very first thing I did was turn around and say, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
I was like,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And he
Yeah, thank
graciously
you.
forgave me in the moment. And that's another lesson, is like, when you do screw up, you can either spend the whole night stewing about it, or you can reconcile and move on.
Right.
But he was super gracious to me, and he was like, I get it. And all my friends were there, and they said they channeled their inner me to throw me a surprise party. And that isn't selfish to share what you want and to share your life with other people. It's actually selfless. It's sacrificing your own fear of being seen in order to invite people into a shared living experience with you. And they could have only done that if I'd told them what I like, right? If I'd never shared with them what I like, how would they have done life with me? And it was really, really beautiful. But that moment was more than a birthday party. It was a moment that I felt fully seen and fully loved and fully accepted for who I was, because I'd done the work to share with the people that matter most in my life.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome. And that story, by the way, is from your book, right?
Yep.
I mean, which luckily I've gotten a sneak peek, and so has Mark. So where, if people want to like check out the full book, where can they find that?
Amazon. They can jump on Amazon and grab a copy of it. And it's called A Journey to Raising Brave Hearts. And I'd love for you to read it and look at what it looks like to embrace your brave.
Yeah.
And review it.
Mark, any final comments? We're talking about the personal relationship side of it, and the business side of it is your bag, of course, with the personal relationships too. But any 30-second one line or anything?
My takeaway was you can have expectations, but it might take 10 years to get it. Is that right? Okay.
You know what? But it'll still be worth it. It'll still be worth
right.
it.
That's right.
That's right.
Dang straight.
This is great. This has really been helpful for me, and hopefully for all the listeners and all those of you watching. Thanks for listening to The Big Ideas, a podcast about people, perspectives, and the ideas that shape who we're becoming. If this episode sparks something for you, stay curious. We'll see you next time. Thank you all for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.